Hello there, Gemini. Thank you so much for coming by for your monthly in-depth tarot forecast. This is for the month of December. We are going to be actually starting it November 29th, and we're going to run it through January 2nd. So the first time frame that we're looking at is November 29th through December 5th. Those of you who are new to my channel, please know that cross-watchers are welcome, but energies are not reversible here. The reading that I'm doing is for Geminis. It is about Geminis. Maybe you might possibly be mentioned as somebody that they're interacting with, but this is about them, not about you just because you're interacting with them. Okay? So if you want some insights into your Gemini friend or your Gemini romantic interest or family member, that's all cool. Just don't get confused. This reading is still about them, not about you. All right, so let's get some cards on the table. This is a general reading, meaning I don't ask for messages about particular areas in life. Like I don't look for love, I don't look for work. I just let whatever are the main themes show up here. So, you know, if the main theme is work, then work will show up a lot. If the main theme is home, home will show up a lot. If the main theme is love life, that will show up a lot. So we don't really know exactly what Spirit's going to be talking about until we get into this. And I like to break the month down into smaller chunks just because I think just looking at one month with one set of cards is it's oversimplifying things. I think we need to have a better picture of all the energies as they're moving through. So you'll find this reading to be thorough. That's why they're so long. They are thorough. But cards are on the table. Let's start taking a peek. November 29th through December 5th for you Geminis. First thing that we're looking at is environment. So the first thing that's popping up about your environment is that you're in a place where you have been before. This is some place where you're revisiting, or maybe this is a place that you've been for a long time. This could even be a childhood home or a childhood dream workplace, depending which environment I'm talking about. And by the way, those of you who don't know me yet, environment is any place where you have energy or effort invested. Usually it is home, but sometimes it's work, sometimes it's school, sometimes it's simply your own aura and your own body. Okay? So what we have here is something that feels to me very comfortable, very familiar for your environment. It feels like home. You are sharing your environment with somebody, and it looks like whatever you're sharing in your environment, this is a reciprocal type of agreement or type of deal. So if you have a roommate, you know, they could be paying a fair amount for the rent. Excuse me. Camera angle. So if you have a roommate, they could be paying a fair amount of rent. They could be paying for half of the utilities. They could be paying for half of the food costs if you're splitting your food. But whatever's going on here with your environment where it's shared, everything, you know, we have things that are going on that are reciprocal. There's no, I don't feel like there's anybody taking advantage of anybody or anything that's happening that is lopsided here. Okay? Now, about sharing your environment with. This is someone who's normally very sunshiny, very optimistic, very outgoing. Right now they may be being more of a homebody. We kind of have to, don't we? For a lot of us in the world. Maybe being more of a homebody, and I think that they're not on their best mood. They need more social interaction to actually be happy, and I feel like they're not happy. They may be even dealing with the blues just because of the lack of social interaction that's going on during the time frame from November 29th to December 5th. And of course, I'm making this like November 2nd. COVID is starting to pick back up again. So I'm just projecting really that this is a COVID-related issue that has them in a negative headspace, but it might not be. It could be something else that they're having problems really working out mentally or emotionally, and so they're feeling kind of down. All right, let's look next at your subconscious leanings, Geminis. Okay, so what do we have for subconscious leanings? Okay, so it looks like there is some kind of change that you could be making that would bring improvements for you, particularly in your own independence and in your own self-sufficiency and your own creativity, in the way that you express yourself. But I don't think that you want to make that change, and I think you don't want to make that change because you don't know what it's going to do to other parts of your life. And so you're really hesitating to make this change even though you know it would bring improvement for yourself. And that is putting you in a situation where you really can't win. You really can't win when you know that there's a change that you need to make and you don't make it. You're kind of hobbling your own foot there. You're not allowing yourself to move forward productively. And so I think in your subconscious, you're wrapping around this. You're starting to understand this concept, and I think you're starting to look at, well, okay, what does it look like if I do make this change that I've been resisting? Okay, so I'm glad that you're looking at that. You're looking at how it's impacted you to not make the change and what might happen. What might happen if I might make this change? Okay. Now, Gemini. Next, we're looking at learning style and also communication style during this particular time frame. Book learning. We've got some book learning showing up here for sure. And I think that this has to do with money or investments. Money and investments seems to be a theme so far. Both Aries and Taurus had that show up in their communication and learning area as well, for every single week. All right, so book learning, and this book learning does have to do with investments, finances. Maybe you're studying the stock market, or you're studying some other form of investment. Maybe you're studying something like Bitcoin or some other blockchain type thing out there, but definitely it looks like you're doing research and digging in, wanting to find out about that kind of thing. And when I say that kind of thing, I mean about kind of improvement in finances for yourself. What else do we have for learning style? What am I looking at here? It looks to me like you are going through a lot of transition right now, and you're learning as you go through this transition, kind of by the seat of your pants. I do think you have somebody to rely on. I think you have a mentor or somebody who you can talk to and ask questions about as you are making this transition. La da 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 da. And there are some things too that I see that you're learning just because it feels good. You enjoy learning about these things. That could be music, it could be painting, it could be any number of things. It could be how to make gourmet ice cream. I don't know. Anyway, something that you're really enjoying learning about. You've got in the mix there too. Okay. Next, let's look at communication style. Communication style. It looks to me like you're sharing some of this communication that you're finding out about money, investing, whatever that was that we were looking at that you're learning. You're sharing some of this information with other people, and as you do that, I think you're getting good resources from those other people too as well. So it's kind of like a collaborative financial think tank is what it looks like we've got going on there for you guys. All right, what else do we have as far as communication style? I think you're doing a lot of communication during this time frame that has to do with email, text messages, direct messages, whether that's Messenger, Hangouts, whatever. I think there's a lot of communication that's going on that's at a distance, going over the airways, so to speak, or the lines. And I do think that you've got a lot of communication going on about emotions. You have a lot of emotions sort of bottled up too, but you are communicating about some of your emotions during this time frame. Okay, actually quite a few. So it's interesting there because you've got some emotions bottled up and you've got some that you're willing to share. I think that's something that we might do an expanded and look at what's going on with your emotions. Why are you sharing and bottling up? That's a potential. We'll see what else comes up during the reading. But I think that's interesting. La da da da. I'm going to take a note. Because to me, that's contradictory. So I kind of want to look at that just because I'm nosy. I'm nosy. All right. Next thing that we're going to look at talks to me about work. Work, work, work. What's going on for you, Geminis? Looks to me like you're giving somebody an opportunity at work. You're giving them a second chance, or else you're putting in a good word for somebody so that they can come and get a position where you work or somewhere where you can pull some strings. As far as your own work, I think you may not be feeling so energized towards actually accomplishing things when it comes to work or getting work done. And I think a lot of that has to do with, there's been something that has been, yeah, I don't want to say the word traumatic, but it has been kind of traumatic that has gone on at work. And I think that this has to do with the relationships of work people that you work with or in the same company with. It comes up to me that there was somebody who was seriously taking advantage of some situations at work. And I feel like there were other people that were letting them take advantage of these situations. And so I think, to me, what's going on here is morale is really down because most of you at work do go by certain standards and do, certain things are expected of you, and you kind of expect that they would be expected of everybody. But I think something has come out about how somebody got away with a whole lot of stuff at work, and now you're just not really feeling all that energized about work. And you may even be wishing that you hadn't given somebody an in there if we're talking about them taking a position at the same place that you work. All right, let's look next at that part of your personality which is growing or expanding right now. Okay, so we've got some self-esteem issues showing up here, and it looks like you thought you had gotten rid of those. You thought you had sort of deactivated those self-esteem triggers, but they're coming back from where you thought you had laid them to rest. Okay, coming back up, and really there's something that is said, I think, that sort of cuts you to the heart. And so what I see here is that you are, I think you're very aware as this happens. I think you're very aware of what's going on with your self-esteem as this person says these things. And it looks to me like you are making progress moving forward anyway. You're still putting in energy and effort to be the best person that you can be, and also to regain your self-esteem in spite of them. In spite of them. Good for you. That's not the easiest chore, so to be able to do that is really good. Next thing that I'm looking at talks to me about those things that you stand up for. Okay, so what do you stand up for? La da 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 da. La da da da. Okay, so this is going to be something somebody's wanted to talk to you about, or maybe they even confront you about during this time frame. So it looks to me like you have a situation where you have felt like, money was tight. I feel like money was tight, and now you have found some kind of relief to where, okay, money is not as big of a worry as it used to be. And that relief may have come from doing something that you thought you would never really do before, or going back to a situation that you thought you would never go back to before. So, maybe sometime in the past you drove an Uber or drove a Lyft, and then you started doing some other type of work full time, and you just thought, well, I'm never going to go back to driving Uber or Lyft. That was very handy while it was there, and it was fun while it lasted, but I don't think I'm going to do that again. So this could be, that you're finding relief in your financial situation because you're going back to doing something that you thought you would never have to fall back on again. Okay? So this is something that, you've had to explain to somebody, or you've had to defend to somebody. And how this person sees you after you've had this conversation is they see you as somebody who is really spending some time alone, or spending some time away from the people that they care about. They see you as somebody who is thinking things over. but they feel like you're a little bit confused, and like the response that you're taking to this situation where the money is tight, they feel like that's not the most responsible response that you could take, that you're letting down responsibilities in other places by focusing on that. Okay, so that's what they think as they're looking at you. La, da, 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 da. Okay, next thing that we're looking at talks to me, Geminis, about that flex point during this time frame. This is where you basically encounter a lesson or experience that sort of changes things for you. It makes things go in a little bit of a different direction. So, and then we look at what happens as you incorporate that. So what's going on here? You do have somebody here that is baiting you. And when I say they're baiting you, they're trying to stir up trouble. They're trying to stir up an argument. They're asking you some leading questions, knowing exactly how you'll respond to them. The short way to say this is they're pushing your buttons, okay? You've got somebody that's trying to push your buttons because they want to get you into some kind of confrontation or argument. This is somebody that you already know. They don't really care for you. There's no love lost between the two of you. You already know this person's number. It's not like this is a new situation or a new thing happening here. And I feel like what you're doing is you're just moving away from this. I don't feel like you're paying any attention to the baiting that they're doing. I think you're just counting this as this person is just who they are, and that's how they're going to act, and you're just not being triggered by it. Okay? And I think it's kind of a new thing to not be triggered by it, to be honest with you. Now, what do we have going on at the same time? You are definitely doing some research, because you're spending some time on your own. You're very self-sufficient. You've got everything you need. You're doing some research around somebody who is definitely coming across as a trickster. This may or may not be the same person who's trying to bait you, but there's somebody that you've got a pretty good gut instinct that they're not everything that they seem to be. And so you're finding out, you are looking things up and finding out the real deal behind this person. Okay? At the same time, yeah, I feel like, Geminis, you kind of have your boundaries up against love. Like right now, you don't really want to be in a big, heavy-duty love relationship. And I think that there's somebody around you who is like, what is the problem here? They just fail to comprehend that. And I think that that's making this person very unhappy. They're very unhappy. They want you to want to be in a relationship with them. If this is somebody you're already in a relationship with, then they're just wanting more attention. They're wanting you to pay more attention to them and spend more time with them. But this could also, for some of you, this could be somebody who you don't really have a relationship with, and you're just not interested, really. It's not even a personal thing. It's just that you're not really interested in being in a relationship right now. Interesting. Where do we see you at the end of this time frame, Geminis? Geminis. Okay, so Geminis, at the end of the time frame, I think you're getting some good news from somebody that you're able to move forward with some type of partnership, contract, agreement. This could be romantic, but seeing what I just saw before, if it is, you guys definitely flip-flopped your mind really fast about the whole idea of being in a relationship. But if it is a romantic relationship, I will say that this is not something new. This is something from the past that you're deciding to forgive and let go. Now, if this is not a romantic relationship, then what we have here, then what we have here is that there was some kind of, I'm going to use the word treachery. Seems kind of strong, but it's the one Spirit's given me. There was some kind of treachery in this relationship in the past, even if it was a business relationship or whatever, friendship, family relationship, whatever it was. And same thing, you're looking at the past and you're forgiving it and moving forward with this partnership. Either way. Okay? All right, so that's interesting. That's really interesting. But we already know it's somebody that is from your past. Either way. Because otherwise there would be nothing to forgive. All right, so I think I'm going to do a little bit of an extended reading. I'm going to keep out the original cards about this whole idea of communication and communicating some of your feelings, but not all of your feelings. I'm going to do a little bit of an expanded reading to see what's going on there. Like, who are those feelings towards? What type of feelings are you holding back? What type of feelings are you expressing? Is that towards the same person or towards different people? I just want to dig into that a little bit more. It kind of fascinates me. So I'm going to leave the link for the extended down below this video in the description box. Okay, let me go ahead and wrap this up. I'm going to take care of that extended, and then I'll come back and we'll look at the next week. Welcome back, Geminis. Now we are taking a peek at December the 6th through the 12th. To see what comes up for you for energies during this time frame. I just want to put a nice shuffle on these cards first. Make sure they are ready. Ready, ready, ready. Ready, 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 ready. Ready, 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 ready. Alrighty, Gemini. Okie dokie, Geminis. Here's what we have going on for you. This has to do with your environment during this time frame. It looks like where you were sharing responsibility and collaborating with somebody regarding your environment, it looks like that person is not able to hold up their end of the bargain, so all of that responsibility that would normally be shared is falling on you during this particular time frame. And I think that this is putting you in a situation where you're kind of thinking about, okay, well, what could I do to make my lifestyle better? How can I improve things here? And you're taking action on some of that. The only problem that I'm seeing here is that you're looking a little bit like a headless chicken when you're taking this action. Like you're starting off on this idea and then this idea and then this idea, but you're not finishing anything up with any of the ideas yet. So you want to, best advice here would be to settle down and focus on, okay, what's the one that is the best shot to improve things, and really focus on that. The best advice that I see coming up in your environment. This running around like a headless chicken thing is not very productive normally. Normally it's just not. All right, Geminis, next thing that we're looking at talks to me about your subconscious leanings. You are really looking pretty heavy duty at some kind of commitment that you have or that you're getting ready to make. And it looks like you're very into the idea of getting into this commitment. Now, it could be a romantic commitment, but it doesn't have to be. It could be that this is your dream job that we're looking at too. Or it could be that, this is an appointment or an interview with somebody that you would love to be able to speak with. So we have this idea of some type of commitment. We have the idea that you really like this commitment, but there's some kind of blockage that is between you and getting this commitment done. And so your subconscious is really working on, okay, how can I break through this blockage or go around this blockage? What can I do to make sure that this commitment that I'm so excited about, so happy about, so much looking forward to happens? All right, Geminis. La da 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 da. Next we're looking at learning style and communication style. Learning style during this time frame. There are some things that are that have served their time in your life, and they are passing out of your realm of experience. And I think you're learning a lot about yourself as this happens, from not only just watching these things sort of fritter away, but also in the idea of looking at your reactions to these things as they go. What else do we see? What else do we see? It looks like you may be learning something from a child or from children during this time frame to me. Somebody who probably doesn't even realize what they're teaching you right now. And then the last thing that shows up for learning stuff, there's somebody who's very sarcastic in your life, very cutting in their words. That's how they communicate. Well, guess what? Something from them. I think they're going to let something slip that you didn't really realize or you didn't really know about. And I don't think they realize you didn't really know about it whenever. Excuse me. I feel like I've got sand in my throat. All right. Communication style. I think you're very strong in your communication right now, and you're assuming natural leadership position as you're communicating with at least particular people around you, maybe just kind of everybody. That may be just how you're feeling that self-confident, like you're just naturally taking the leadership position in almost every situation that you're communicating in, is what I think. There is a little bit of going back and forth in what you're communicating with somebody. There may be some kind of negotiations happening through communication, where there may be, for some of you, not so much negotiations, but just talking back and forth, bouncing ideas back and forth off of somebody else and back to you. And then we also have, excuse me, some very cerebral communication, some communication where you are just listening a lot. So I feel like there's somebody who has no shortage of words. You're listening a lot, and I think you're finding out some information that you weren't expecting to find out by listening to this person. And I don't think they realize that they're giving you as much information as what they actually are through what they're saying. Okay? That is communication, and learning. Okay, next thing that we have going on here talks to me about work for those of you who are Geminis. So it looks like things are tightening up. Well, excuse me, I'm reading that wrong. Things are loosening up at work. So that means that the money is flowing a little bit more easily. You're probably picking up more hours. If you work for tips or commissions are better. But things are flowing a little bit more easily when it comes to work. It looks like where you work, you guys have come through some negative circumstances that were holding you back or dragging you down. I feel like you are moving forward away from those. This is typically my card that says I'm not exactly sure where I'm going, but I know I have to leave this negative situation. So you may not be sure exactly what you're going to end up doing at work, or work may not be sure what their ultimate mission is going to end up being exactly, or what it will look like, but you are moving away from the negative impact of some things. So that's really good, and I think that has a lot to do with why things are loosening up there. And there is definitely long-term plans that either your workplace is making in general or you are making, and I think really it's both of those for most of you, that you're making long-term plans and also they are as well. Your long-term plans could include things like retirement, or like I'm going to be moving in a couple of years, but I'm going to stay here until I move, that type of thing. So some type of long-term plans coming in about work. I think that work also is making long-term strategies as we come out of the coronavirus situation. Definitely moving away from negative impacts of things, and hours and money are loosening up. Okay, now let's look at inner work. Inner work, once again, we are seeing a theme about making plans. I kind of get the sense that you're making plans about increasing your network, increasing the people that you communicate with, increasing your connections and your contacts. And I think that you are doing this because you know that the more connections and contacts you have, the more opportunities you have, and you are planning on making things better even for yourself as far as abundance in general, abundance in relationships, abundance in finance, abundance in all the good things. So that's what we see you going for inner work. All right, next thing that we are looking at, Geminis, Geminis, Geminis. This is going to be that part of your personality which is growing or expanding right now. Okay, so it looks like you went through a situation that really sort of shook everything up for you. And with this situation that shook everything up, things became unbalanced. Things were not reciprocal. You were probably putting out a lot more energy than somebody else was, or you had all the responsibility and somebody else wasn't picking up their share of the responsibility. And you left that situation previously. Now I see you coming back into that situation. And I think this is what I want to do my extended on here. I want to look at, is that a work situation? Is that a love situation? Because what I have here doesn't really tell me what area of life that's happening in. So I think I'm going to set these cards aside and use them as the base of our extended for this week. What kind of situation is that where things got turned on their head? After that, things weren't even. And now, not you've walked away from it, but now you're walking back into it. So I want to explore that a little bit more. Next thing that we are looking at talks to me about those things that you stand for. So this is something that you've explained to somebody, or somebody has maybe even confronted you about, and so you are standing for that. What do we have? What do we have? There was a situation where you were partnered up with somebody, either romantic, business partnership, friendship, family. These cards don't indicate which exactly, but it just was not good timing. Things were just not aligning the way that it would be nice if they would whenever you're partnered up with somebody, and I think that you have severed that partnership. Now, somebody who has asked you about this, or possibly even confronted you about this, how they feel about you after you've explained the situation to them is they see you as somebody who really doesn't want to be in competition. You don't want to compete. You don't want to your energy scattered. You don't want to have to focus on that. They also see you as somebody who's done your research. You've done your research on this situation, and that they're feeling like this idea to sever that situation was a good one. It was a sound decision. Okay. I feel like for some of you, you're actually explaining this to a parent. That's not going to be true for all of you, but I'd say 75 to 80% of you. That's what it feels like. All right, next thing we're looking at is your flex point. This is where things start to shape up a little bit differently and go in a little direction because you're learning something or you're experiencing something and you're incorporating that into your life at this point. La da 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 da. Okay, so it looks like you're having a payday. You're getting paid for something. And this doesn't have to be financial, although usually it is, and I think for most of you this probably is. But you're having a payday, and with this payday, what's going on is that you are doing everything you can to make sure that your budget is covered. And even in spite of your best efforts, there's just something that slips through the cracks. And I feel like you get almost everything covered, just not quite. So you've got the one thing that's slipping through the cracks. La da da da. What else is going on during this time frame? This is interesting. This makes me wonder if what's slipping through the cracks is because you were helping somebody else. I think there is somebody in your sphere of influence, Geminis, that you are trying to help financially. You want to be, you want to be the rescuer, the savior. You want to make sure that they don't have problems. And I think for a lot of you, there's great love for this person, whether it's a family member or a romantic interest. And so I think you're stepping in and you are trying to cover for them financially. And that may be why something's falling through the cracks for you here. You're just trying to cover too much. All right, let's look at what else is going on during this time frame. Yeah, there's a lot of confusion here because I think you're feeling really inspired to help this person that you care about so much, but it is to the point where you're taking out way more money, is what I'm hearing, way more money than what you were planning to out of your budget to help that person. And so there's a lot of confusion around this for you. I think that you're really torn because you know that you should be making sure that you're okay, but you also don't feel like you can not make sure this other person is okay too. All right? So budget, money, that's a big issue during that flex point. Excuse me. Now, what do we have coming up here for the end of this time frame? All right, so I feel like you're happy with what you've done, and I feel like somebody has expressed, their appreciation to you with what you've done with helping them financially. But I think now we're in this time frame, Geminis, where you're thinking things over and you're realizing that I've kind of created some bad news for myself when it comes to money and financial things and material goods. You're really putting your thinking cap on about, okay, how am I gonna settle this all out? How am I gonna handle all this and get myself back in the black? That's what we see you working on whenever we get to the end of the month. So I am going to go ahead and do an extended about where you're growing and expanding, and you'll be able to catch the link for that down below in the description. Thank you guys very much for being here. Let me go ahead and take a little break, and I'll come back, and when I do, we'll cover the next week. Thanks for being here. Welcome back, Geminis. This time we're looking at December 13th through 19th. While I'm shuffling the cards, let me just remind everybody that this is a general reading, which means that most of this reading will apply to most of you Geminis, but not everything will apply to everyone. Also, this is a general reading, meaning that I don't really pick a particular area of life to look at. I let Spirit show me what are the main themes that your focus is on. So we could be looking at work, we could be looking at love, we could be looking at family life. Whatever is actually the main focus has a chance to come up whenever you do something like that. We're going to take that card that fell and start putting down the rest. Alrighty, Geminis, let's start off by looking at your environment during this time frame. It looks like you may be really shaking your time up or sharing your time with multiple environments. So environment is any place where you have energy or effort invested. Usually it's home. Sometimes it comes up as work, school, sometimes it's your own personal aura. So you just want to be open about where this might be. But it does look like you have multiple environments that you're going back and forth between, trying to accomplish quite a bit in all environments. Looks like you are doing some research about your environment as well, and you're focusing on something that you could do to improve your environment. So I feel like there is something about is this their home environment or work environment? I feel like there's something going on about your work environment that you feel like you could improve. Maybe you're thinking if you change your work environment, you'll improve it. But maybe there's something at work that you feel like if you could improve that, then that would be better. And I think that you're doing some research on that. But at the same time that that's going on, I don't think you're able to fully focus on that because you do have scattered energy between environments where you've got important things going on at work, but you've also got important things going on in other places too. So not really a singular focus there. All right. Next thing that we have coming up talks about your subconscious leanings, Gemini, subconscious leanings. What do we have? Yeah. Okay, so here's the deal. You're feeling burnt out. And you're feeling burnt out, and because you're feeling burnt out, you're really not feeling like doing a whole lot right now. You kind of would like to just play the supervisor role. Listen, I'll tell you what to do if you do it. I just don't feel like doing anything. That's kind of where you are right now. And your subconscious is wondering, okay, how can I make that happen? How can I literally make that happen where I am actually the supervisor and I don't have to be so hands-on involved all the time? Okay, so that's what your subconscious is working on. La da 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 da. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about learning style and also communication style as you go through this particular time. Learning style. Oh my goodness, we have the same exact card showing up as we did the last time for the first position in this, which is learning about money, learning about making money, creating money, investing money, doing something to multiply your money. Money, 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 honey. All right, wow, money is a huge theme for you this week. I've actually got it showing up on all three cards that I've put down here as the thing that you're focusing on learning. For some of this, you're focusing, I think you're focusing on different ways. You're focusing on learning about different ways that you could create income or create money or create stability. The first one is kind of like last week where, you're doing there's some formal learning. You're looking things up. You're studying things. You're doing book learning, as they used to say. But you also are learning some things just through natural, organic ways as well whenever it comes to money and how the principles of money are in the universe. And then the last thing that we have, you're looking at what's a good label for this? I think you're investigating ways to get people to pay you for being who you are and doing what you're going to do normally anyway. That's the best way that I know how to say this. That's the best way that I know how to say that. Okay, let's look at communication style. So obviously with this much learning about money and income and creating income, there definitely is some communication about it as well. Once again, we have this whole idea that there are people that you're talking to, or at least one person that you're talking to about some of these things that you're learning, and they're giving you references, they're giving you jumping off points, they're giving you other places to look for information as well to build on that information that you're accruing. Somebody's going to accuse you of having money on the brain. It's like not only are you talking about money, but you're thinking about money, and you're thinking about money, and you're thinking about money, and you're thinking about money. I mean, I can hear some of you protesting, life is not all about money. Yeah, I get it. Life is not all about money. What I can tell you is I'm just reading the messages as they come across, honey, and you're thinking about money a whole lot. All right. And then, what else do we have? I think you are setting some type of goals. Absolutely, some type of goals about budget, about finances, about what you want to have accomplished by the time you're retiring. You guys may be setting some goals about some passive income. How much passive income do you need to have to live off of before you retire? So there's definitely some goal setting. And once again, this goal setting has to do with money. It has to do with abundance. You are definitely putting some goals out there. All right, that's learning style and communication style. La da 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 da. Let's look at work next. Work, 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 work. Work does not look very fair and balanced right now. We might investigate work. This might be what we decide we're doing our in-depth about, because our extended reading about, because it looks like you've got some kind of roller coaster ride that's happening with work during this time frame. And I think maybe not so much of a roller coaster ride as you have mixed emotions. There's definitely some things going on that are not fair. They're not just, they're not even, you know, they're not even balanced. Evenly balanced is what I want to say. And I think that because of this, somebody's true colors are out and you're seeing somebody for exactly who they are. However, even though that kind of comes across as a negative, I think what's going on, because you're seeing somebody's true colors, that is allowing you to not be as upset or not be as bothered by what's going on at work, or not be as bothered by this unfair thing. And I think what it is it's that whole idea of understanding what's happening here. Like when something comes out that's unbalanced or unfair and we don't understand why it's happening, then it's even harder to swallow. Here, I think what's going on is that when you're seeing somebody's true colors, now you're understanding how this unbalanced decision or unfair decision was come to. And because you're understanding that, that is leading to some healing of the heart, healing emotionally around that. I think we're going to look at work a little bit more in the extended. Let's look at inner work. Inner work is that you basically are feeling unbalanced as far as emotionally. You're feeling like your emotions are all over the place right now. You are feeling like your emotions are all over the place right now. And it also looks to me like there's somebody that you used to think that you really liked, that you used to enjoy their company. You don't enjoy their company as much as you thought you did. And I think that that's a relief to you. I think it's also a surprise to you. I think that you always think that this person was Mr. or Ms. Wonderful to hang around with, and now you're finding out, you know what, not so much. And so you're kind of okay with the idea of not hanging around with this person as much. So inner work really is about letting go and doing some healing. And I think that that situation, that person that you used to like being around, I think that person probably has sort of separated themselves from you for some reason that really wasn't fair or wasn't right. And so this whole idea of the heartache or the heartbreak came from that unfair decision, but now you're realizing they aren't as much fun as you thought they were. They aren't as great as you thought they were. And so you're not feeling such a loss with that as far as inner work. Really letting go of that whole situation. All right, next thing that we are looking at has to do with lesson or experience of the time frame. What do we have? Okay, so Geminis, we still see you being very self-sufficient and dependent. And in spite of being self-sufficient and independent, you are giving more to some situations than what you're getting back. This could be that you're giving a lot more work than what you're getting back in pay. You could be giving more in a relationship, whether it's romantic, family, friendship, whatever. But you know, you're giving more. You're self-sufficient. You've got plenty, and you're giving more. You always want to be careful, even when you're self-sufficient, that if you're giving more than what you're getting back, you know, at what point are you becoming depleted? Because you really don't want to hit depletion level. And what's going on is that even though you're giving more than what you're getting back, you are continuing to do this, even though you know that it would be better for you if you got this situation into a healthy balance, or if you got into a situation that was more healthily balanced. You still are continuing to do this. You're continuing to overgive. Okay? All right, that's where your personality, what part of your personality is expanding right now. Next, we're looking at those things that you stand for. So this is something somebody has asked you about and you've had to explain or you've had to defend. La da 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 da. Oh dear. What do we have happening here? We've got a sense of happiness, a sense of security that's going on. There's somebody that you really care about that's tied with this happiness and sense of security. And I think you're going back to that thing that used to make you feel happy and secure. Now this really doesn't jive too well because normally this card about going back talks about leaving something that made you feel depleted. So if you were feeling happy and secure here, why were you feeling depleted before? I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. But you're going back. That part makes sense to me. What's happening here? What am I missing? Missing something. Okay. I was looking at this wrong, Geminis. So when you're with this, when you're spending time with this person, and for some of you, I don't even think it's a romantic interest as much as it's a family member, but when you're spending time with this person, it makes them really happy. And I also feel like they get to keep money in their bank account because you spend money on them. But it makes them really happy, and they really love spending time with you. But it does make you feel depleted. That's why you walked away before. Now you're walking back. Now you're walking back. Not sure why. I feel like for some of you, you're walking back because this person is a little bit older and you want to make sure that, if anything would happen to them, you don't end up on bad terms with them. And you don't want to have a guilty conscience. But for some of you, I can't see that this person is actually manipulating you emotionally, but I feel like there's this sense of well, I should love this person, I should enjoy this person. They're a part of my family. For some of you, that's what I'm hearing. So I'm going to go back into that situation that made me feel depleted before. All right, so when you're defending this situation, when you're explaining this situation to somebody else, what do they think of you? They see you as somebody who has infinite patience. I'm sure you guys will relate to that when you hear it. They also see you as somebody who is subverting your happiness or suppressing your happiness, suppressing your joy in the name of keeping peace. All right, let's put those cards off to the side. Let's look at your flex period next. Flex period is that period where things start to change direction for you. You're learning something or you're experiencing something and you're incorporating that lesson or experience into your life. All right, so flex point. Oh yeah, taking a break. Not feeling very enthusiastic, feeling pretty apathetic about doing things. So taking a break, sort of stepping back, giving yourself a chance to rethink things. Yeah, we've got two cards that talk about really rethinking, reorganizing some things, getting your thoughts together, and really not feeling like doing anything. All right? What else is going on during this time frame? La da 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 da. Shoo, you guys have something really toxic going on as far as relationship. It looks like this may be with another air sign, but if it's not with another air sign, this is with somebody who lies commonly. And I'm not saying that air signs lie commonly, but for me, the King of Swords, when he's in reverse, is somebody who lies because normally he's a seeker of the truth. When he's in reverse, he's twisting the truth. He's lying. He's basically saying whatever it is he needs to say to try to get other people to jump through his hoops. And I think that's what's going on here, is that you've got this toxic person trying to get you to jump through hoops. I think you're cutting them out, or you're holding up boundaries between yourself and them. This may be what all this, taking time to think is all about, putting up boundaries between yourself and them so you can think things over and figure out what you want to do with that situation really. Also at the same time, Oh, I think you've made your decision, actually. I think that as you're taking this time to think, you come out of this thought time with being ready to come out and talk to this person. And I think you're telling this person that I'm not happy. I am not happy with you. We need to let this go. We cannot be in a partnership of any kind anymore, whether it's romantic, friendship, family, whatever. You're letting this person know, you know what, I can't do this anymore. Okay? Now. Now. How now, brown cow? Alrighty. Looking at the end of this week for you guys, Gemini. Oh yeah. You're taking more quiet time, really meditating, thinking things over. You're not communicating really with many people at all. I think you're even isolating from friends. I don't think you're talking stuff over with friends or processing things that way. I think you are simply taking time to think things over, maybe even meditate, try and figure out, where do I go from here? What's my next best move? Okay? So that's that time frame, Geminis. I'm going to cut off of here. Go ahead and do your expansion on that whole work situation, and then come back and we'll look at your next week. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you for being here. Okay, Gemini, we're back again, and this time we are looking at December 20th through the 26th. Merry Christmas to those of you who celebrate Christmas. La da da da. Let's see what kind of energies are coming in. So far, you're only the third reading that I've done, but I'm really surprised that giving a gift hasn't showed up in either of the first two readings yet, or receiving a gift. Isn't that interesting? Let's see what comes up for you guys. All right, Geminis, let's start with your environment. Environment. Okay, I do see some celebration going on in your environment. That's a good thing. It's not gifts, but at least it's a celebration. That's nice. I do see that you're sharing your environment with somebody who could have strong narcissistic tendencies. So sorry, guys. Strong narcissistic tendencies just means that to most of the world, this person looks like a great, upstanding, fine, wonderful citizen, but the closer you are to them, the more you get to know them, the more you realize that they are really master manipulators, great at getting whatever it is that they want, and not above twisting the truth completely out of shape to get people to jump through hoops for them. And I could go on, but I think you've got the idea. All right, and I also have a card here that talks about going back to an old place, maybe a place from childhood or somebody from your past showing up. Maybe they're coming to you. Either way, something here showing up from the past, and I think you're not so thrilled about it, to be honest with you. Okay, so that's what we have showing up for Gemini. Next, let's look at your subconscious leanings, Geminis. Things running in the background of your mind. Every once in a while they come forward to the consciousness, but they run mostly in the background. What is happening here? You have made a decision, and that decision is to focus on happiness and feeling satisfied and feeling fulfilled. And so I think you are really focusing on whatever it is that will make you happy. And I think also in view of your environment, I'm also getting this idea that you're doing this as a coping mechanism, basically, in part. As a coping mechanism, because you're not in your favorite place right now anyway. Alrighty, next let's look at learning style and communication style during this particular time frame, Geminis. Oh my goodness. Well, you had this exact same thing earlier. Exact same card. It's coming in a little different meaning though. Winds of change. Winds of change, Gemini. Change is coming in, and I think you're learning from this change. It's almost, to me, it seems like things had hit a routine before, and now that things are changing, you're starting to understand what it is that you like and what it is that you don't like. Whether what you like is how things used to be or how they are now, and whether what you don't like is what things used to be or how they are now. Either way, I think you're getting a more clear sense of what you like and what you don't like around some things that you never really had thought of before, and you never really thought of possibilities of them being different than how they were. Okay? Ba-bum-bum-bum. What else for learning style? I think you are making a couple of mistakes during this time frame that you're learning from. I think it's very likely that you'll be pouring out your feelings to one or two people that later on you'll end up regretting, because they will share this information with other people. And so I think that you will kind of pour out your heart thinking that it's implied that this is not for public consumption, knowledge for public consumption, and they are not going to see it that way, and they are going to be spreading the word. So, the reason we get these readings ahead of time is because if we've got heads ups, then we can do something different and make my cards be wrong on the table. So be careful who you spill your heart to during this time. Okay? What else do we have for learning style? Learning style. This is really interesting. Wow, I haven't had this come up in a reading before, but I do think that you're learning something about... This is very specific, but I'm just going to say it. I think you're learning something new about the transmission of coronavirus or COVID-19. Now, I think that's really interesting because there's one of two possibilities here. This means either you have been totally, completely under a rock for the last several months, or there's new information coming out. And I don't think Geminis have been totally, completely under a rock for the last several months. So I think we have new information coming out about how this disease spreads. Yeah, I'm sticking with that. That's what it feels like to me. Okay. And it has something to do with shelters. Shelters being places that people call home. Homes, apartments, single-family residences, hotels sometimes, if you're traveling. Yeah. Yeah, that's as far as I'm going to go with that. Let's move on to communication style. Very strong in your communication style, very confident in your communication style coming across. I think that whatever you're saying right now, Geminis, you're not expecting people to question it or to debate it or try to turn it into something that it's not. La da 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 da. What else do we have here? There's definitely something hidden. Of course, it is Christmas time. There's definitely something hidden as far as your communication style, and I think that you're dropping very vague hints around this thing that's hidden. So you may be dropping hints for somebody about what their present is like. But these are very vague hints. Somebody's going to have to be practically psychic to pick up on what it is you're hinting about. Don't be surprised. Don't drop a hint like that to a Scorpio. We'll snap it right up and figure it out. Let's see. What do we have next here? That's interesting. I feel like I feel like there's somebody who is not communicating with you that much, if at all. And I think that what your communication with them, your understandings with them have to do with the evidence that they leave behind as to how they feel about you. You're looking a lot more at the evidence. You're looking a lot more at the tangible things that they've given you or that they've left behind. For some of you, I feel like you're tracking somebody down, like they've kind of gone somewhere else and you're trying to figure out, well, how come you're not here with me celebrating Christmas or here with the family celebrating Christmas? Where are you? You may even be, for some of you, you may even be looking through bank records and phone records and trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. I'm a little scared to look at that one in detail. We are in holiday time, so things are going to be weird. I think I am going to look at that. That's going to be our extended. That's going to be our extended for this time frame. All right, next thing that we're looking at is work, 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 work. Once again, we've got things loosening up at work. This could be the whole idea of not being at work. No, I'm going to take that back. I have a card that would say not being at work. I'm still working, even if you are on vacation or taking time off or going out of town or people are coming to your house or whatever. I think you're still getting some work done during this week. I don't think you like it. I don't think you like it because I do think it cuts into your time of pampering other people, doing, having nice experiences with other people. But even though you don't like it because it cuts into that time, I do think you enjoy your work overall. I'm very happy that it's cutting into your time in this particular time frame. Now, inner work, what do we have? So, Geminis, let's talk, shall we? Inner work has to do with this idea of being hungry for approval, being hungry for love, wanting to know that other people think highly of you, that they think, that you're doing well, you're doing good. This can come out especially strong whenever we're seeing people that we don't normally see throughout the year and we're trying to make a good impression because they don't see us every day. They don't see us like every day, so we only get to see them a little bit of time, so there's a little bit of time in which to make a good impression. I think you're really trying hard to make a good impression. You want people to love you. Everybody loves me. And that inner work has to do with this sense of dependency on what other people think of you and their opinions of you and how highly they regard you. Your inner work has to do with letting go of that dependency and coming to that place where you understand your own self-worth. That's where your inner work is during this time frame. Isn't that interesting that we would have that during Christmas? No, not interesting at all. It makes perfect sense. Because this is when we see people that, who knows what they think of us. And a lot of times if it's family, family usually has the lowest opinion of each other, don't they? So I think you're getting put to the test here. I think you've got people that, you can't win their love no matter what you do. And so you're having to get into this place of, I know what I'm worth. It doesn't matter if you know what I'm worth or not. But that is the inner work, is recognizing your own self-worth. Alrighty. What do we want to look at next? That part of your personality which is growing or expanding. What do we have? Okay. Alrighty, so Geminis, you are feeling abundant and like you have plenty to do all that you want to do in this particular time frame. You're feeling pretty good about taking care of business. You've got things covered. Okay, if you're a mama, you've got gifts for the babies. You know, everything's good. Everything's good, good, good. Now, you have this opportunity to renew a commitment or to start a commitment. For some of you, it's a start. For others of you, it's renew. This commitment could be a marriage. Whether this is a proposal or whether this is somebody asking you to continue on with the marriage or work on the marriage, either way doesn't really matter. You're not doing it. And I don't think this is the first time this person has asked you to commit to this. I feel like they've asked you this before, and maybe you did before. I think a lot of you did, but you're not now. And part of the reason you're not now is because you are feeling confident. You're feeling like, you know what, I've got this. I'm taking care of business. I've got my own back. I don't need somebody else to make it in the world. Not like that. That's where you're coming from. Okay, next we're looking at those things that you stand for. Now this is something that somebody's talked to you about. You've either defended or you've explained. So what do we have here? I feel like somebody has wanted you to take down the boundaries, to be more vulnerable with them, to share more with them. And you have moved away from some kind of negative influence that was in your life to take down those boundaries, to become more vulnerable. This to me really feels like it could definitely be shadow work. That maybe you had trust issues or you couldn't really let somebody in. And you worked with that, and then you went ahead and let down the boundaries and let somebody in. And really went full gun with that, you know, just pedal to the metal all the way. No holds barred. And so somebody's talking to you about this. And I think the talk is, you know, about how difficult that was for you to do that. And how this other person is seeing you after you've had this discussion. They're seeing you as somebody who is looking at everything very analytically, very much bottom lining everything, looking at the end result of things. And they're also seeing you as somebody who digs for information. Like you don't make your mind up about something until you've dug for all the information. And you can be kind of cold about it because you don't necessarily pay so much attention to what your heart's telling you if things don't add up analytically for you. And they feel like this puts you in an unbalanced situation to where they feel like this has you putting too much emphasis on your thoughts and not enough emphasis on your feelings. That's their take on it after this conversation. All right. Let's look, shall we? Let's look, shall we, at your flex period. This is when things start to shape up a little bit differently because you're having a lesson or experience happen, and what's happening as you're incorporating that lesson or experience in your life. You are done taking a break from something and you are ready to move forward. You are looking at some kind of opportunity as you move forward. Here's the thing. You got a hater on your hands. You're looking at some kind of opportunity and you're moving forward with it, and there's somebody who is not happy about this at all. They're very angry that you're moving forward with that opportunity. I get the sense that they offered you a very similar opportunity and you did not take it. So the idea that you're taking this opportunity with somebody else is really, really tripping their switches, man. Okay. And not in all the right ways. I do think some of you need to be a little bit careful of this person because he can go off the deep end somewhat. For most of you, it is a he, by the way. Let's look at what else is going on at the same time here. Yeah, I think this is talking about with this other person that's so unhappy about you taking this opportunity, coming out of a break and taking an opportunity. I think that you taking this opportunity has made you from being, you know, sitting on the throne of this person's heart, being the king or queen of their heart, to not anymore, and they're feeling very defeated by the idea that you've taken this other opportunity. This definitely could have to do with marriage or a relationship, a romantic relationship. Doesn't have to, but definitely has that flavor. You taking that other opportunity, you've got choices now. You've got choices now that you didn't have before, and I think that you're really enjoying that fact. La da 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 da, la da 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 da. What else is going on here? Yeah, you're moving forward really steadily, investing in yourself. You know, putting energy and effort into improving your own life. And I'm not talking about working like, you know, for a person who pays you, or even running your business, or even working around the house. I'm talking about, this is basically self-work or shadow work, working on improving yourself so that you're happier with who you are. You're working on your responses to people that might trigger you. What's interesting is I feel like this work is really, it has to do with detaching from those people who trigger you commonly. Can't get the word out. And I think you're being very successful at detaching from those people. In fact, I think you're being very successful in deactivating that trigger. So whatever it is that they normally use to trigger you, I don't think that can happen right now. I think you've done the work. Slow and steady, you've done the work. Now they can't get to you like they used to before. All right, where do we see you at the end of this time frame, Geminis? La, da, 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 da. It looks like you're under a lot of stress by the time we get to the end of the time frame. There's somebody that you were collaborating with that is not able to hold up their end of the bargain, and so you're left taking all of that responsibility on instead of sharing that with them. And I think that some of that responsibility may have to do with finances, because you've got some news about money that we're not really happy to hear. So it may be that somebody that was helping you with something financially, that you guys were collaborating on a project, or maybe we're both working on the rent together, whatever, this person is not able to their side of the bargain. Excuse me. So there's something financial where this person is not able to support you like you guys had planned on, and this is really stressing you out. So why do we get a reading ahead of time? So that we have a heads up, we can make some changes, set some money aside for whatever this is ahead of time. That way, when it comes up, you have to stress out. Let's make some of these cards not true, right? Okay, so I'm going to take a peek in the extended at that communication that we were looking at, where it looks like somebody you may be tracking somebody, or you're looking at their evidence. I want to look at more of that situation, what we have going on there. I'm a little bit afraid too. I hope somebody doesn't go totally missing over the holidays. That would really be sucky. But let's take a peek at it. Let's see what's actually going on. I'll do that in the extended, and you'll be able to see the link down in the description box below. Okay, let me take care of that, and then I'll be back and we'll look at your last week. Hello there, Gemini. We are back again, and this time we are going to be doing the time frame from December the 27th through January 2nd. Happy New Year's, everybody. I'm sure we are all ready to begin a new year after 2020. Let's see what kind of energy comes up for this time frame. This is just one more week. This is the last week covered by this video. Let's see what we have. Alrighty. Time to put some cards down. This is a general reading. Not everything that I say here will apply to every single Gemini, but most of it will apply to most of you. Those of you who are cross-watchers, you're welcome to be here, but please do not be confused. This is Gemini's reading. This is not your reading. This is not about you. This is about the Geminis. Alrighty. Let's take a peek, shall we? Let's look at your environment first, Gemini. First thing that we have coming up here. Okay, it looks like you have some kind of great idea that you have around your environment, what you want to do with your environment or for your environment, and you've done some research into what it would take to actually get that accomplished, and I think that you are coming up disappointed because it's not within your reach just right now. Okay, there's some kind of obstacle that precludes you from actually following through on whatever this idea is. Let's look next at your subconscious leanings. A lot of cups here, a lot of cups. Looks to me, Geminis, like there's somebody or there's something that you're attracted to. Okay? So, if this is a person, this is somebody that you're attracted to, and I think that you would like to develop something serious with that person. The only problem is that person doesn't want anything serious. The only thing they want is something that might be no strings attached. Okay, so your subconscious is really working around that. Like, is that going to be something that I can accept or that I can work with, or no? Now, if this is not about a romantic situation, or maybe not romantic, but a chemistry situation, then this is about some kind of project or something that you really enjoy doing, some kind of hobby, or maybe this is work that you like to do on the side. And it looks like you've got an opportunity to do that, but it's just a one-time opportunity. It's nothing with repeat potential here, at least not yet. And so I think with your subconscious, you're working around, okay, how can I handle this? Can I make some adjustments in this so that it becomes a repeat business type of thing, or where I can get referrals out of it, that type of thing, so that it's not just a one-hit thing and then it's over. So I'm not sure which way this is actually coming in for you, but whichever way it is, you want whatever this situation is, this opportunity is, you want it to be more than a one-time thing. You want this to be something that becomes a regular part of your existence. Experience, that's the word I'm looking for. Regular part of your experience. Let me put a blanket on my lap. I'm getting a little bit cool. Alright. Now that I'm all comfy again, let's look next at your communication and also your learning style. We're going to start with learning style, Gemini. Gemini. I think we might keep subconscious leanings. We might clarify that a little bit more if we don't have anything more interesting pop up later. We'll see. Learning style and communication style for this particular time frame. Looks to me like you're learning about something that is very ancient. Maybe you're studying fossils. Maybe you're looking at ancient myths and dogma. Ancient cultures. Maybe you have some ancient coins or silver. You're studying something very ancient here. I feel like there's a lot of confusion around you, around a particular situation. This feels like family to me. So there's a lot of confusion around what the family is expecting of you, what they want from you, what the family is doing as a group. It feels like there's some kind of event coming up and nobody seems to know if there's going to be a family activity for this event or not. If there is, whose house is it going to be at or where is it going to be at? So there's just a whole lot of confusion around family, and I think you're getting pretty frustrated because of the lack of information about what is going on. And nobody seems to be stepping up and taking a leadership position, even though there's at least 2 people who, by rights, should be. I think otherwise you would step up and take that leadership position, but you don't want to step on their toes. Okay, so that is learning. Other thing that we're learning here. I think you're having an experience that is teaching you about some things that you don't want in your life right now. And I think that you're figuring that out really fast. That's about all I really need to say on that. Okay, next thing that I'm looking at is your communication style. Interesting. Okay. Let me not be distracted. Let's focus on this first card. I do think that right now your communication style, and this may have to do with the whole New Year's Eve thing, maybe you're making a New Year's toast or a New Year's statement of some kind, but it looks to me like your communication is coming across as very formal, very ornate. You could be writing poetry, you could be doing music, you could just be very eloquent in some kind of statement or presentation or speech. So we've got something going on there that is very, has a very formal structure. It might be free-flowing if it's music, but still there is that formal, there is a formal structure. There's a certain way that it's expected to be. What else do we have? I think that there is some communication going on around this whole confusion with the family thing, and I think that what you're communicating is really starting to help clear the confusion. You know, you've heard everything everybody has to say and how confused they are. I think what you're saying is helping people put a finer tip on what they actually want to do here to help move forward. I don't feel like your communication resolves everything, but it does get some things narrowed down. Also, communication style. I don't think anybody doubts where you're coming from or what your stance is on anything right now. I think your communication is very much sharp, very much to the point. I don't think you're changing your mind about anything or being wishy-washy about anything that you're saying. La da da da, la da 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 da, la da 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 da. Looking at work next. Ooh, ho, ho, ho. Okay. So, work for this time frame. You are walking away from work, definitely. You're just impatient with the craziness that goes on there. And, yeah, it looks like where things might have been looking like they were all roses and sunshine, now you're seeing the real deal where the rubber meets the road. And so you're walking away from your work situation. I can't even say that during this week I see you getting back to work. And maybe you're just on vacation. Maybe you're just on vacation. Maybe you're walking away and you're thinking, well, I got to do some resumes after the 1st. That could be going on too. Okay? So walking away from some type of work situation, I think you're really frustrated and annoyed with what's going on there. I think somebody that you thought had integrity has shown that they do not have integrity, which is part of why you're frustrated. And I feel like you're out of there. Now, looking next at inner work, I feel like you have a lot of conflicting emotions right now that are going on, and you're feeling a little bit unbalanced as far as emotionally, like you really don't know what the next mood is going to be in when it comes, what the next mood is going to be when it comes in. And so your inner work is really about seeing what it is that's triggering you and sort of regulating your emotions into something that is a lot less of a roller coaster ride than what it could be, okay? Than what it has been. All right, let's look at where you're growing and where you're expanding right now. Growth and expansion for Gemini. Oh yeah, you're spending some time alone here, Gemini. You're really setting priorities, thinking things over, getting to know what it is that makes you tick, what it is that you bring to the table, what it is that's important to you. And I think that you're doing that because you've been in some kind of situation where you've been giving way more than you've been receiving, and there was an unfair decision made about you in spite of the fact that you've been giving way more. And so this has caused you to just draw just from how things have been going so far with that. Alrighty. Next, we're looking at those things that you stand for. This is going to be something that someone has confronted you about, or at least wanted to talk to you about, and you've had to explain yourself or defend yourself around this situation. So what is it that you stand for? This has something to do with friends, and I think that, yeah, there's been something going on with a friend who has been way too bossy, basically, Gemini. You have a friend who's tried to tell you what to do and tried to act like they knew how you should run your life. And I think you've cut them out. You've just said, thank you very much, no. All right? And so once you've explained this to somebody else, how they're seeing you as somebody who's indecisive. I think they feel like you're just taking a break from this friendship and will be back because they feel like this friendship is one that there's a lot of energy in this friendship. There's a lot of excitement and chemistry in this friendship. So they're thinking that, this person is thinking that that cutting them out is just a temporary thing and that you and them will be back to being thick as thieves here pretty soon. That's how they're perceiving it. Are they right? Are they right? We don't know. It's just another person. Just another opinion. Everybody's got them, right? All right. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about the flex point during this time frame for you. This is where things start to shape up a little bit differently. You're having a lesson or an experience that is sort of steering your next adventure, basically. So we're going to look at that. It looks like you're having an issue with self-esteem. There's some kind of secret that is going on. Is this you keeping this secret? I think you are keeping it secret that your self-esteem is kind of hitting a low. And the reason your self-esteem is hitting a low is because of I don't know if I want to say an ex. I think for some of you, this is going to be because of an ex relationship or an ex situation. But for others of you, this isn't an ex. This is somebody that that you collaborate with right now in some way or another, but you're not getting along with them. And the whole idea that you're not getting along with them is really making your self-esteem take a hit, but you're not letting on that your self-esteem is taking a hit. I don't think you're ex or anybody else. In fact, I don't think you're even talking to anybody about what things this person has said to you, because you don't want to taint anybody's opinion of them until you know you're done, if that ever happens. And it will. What are we looking at here? This is Gemini's. What else is going on at the same time frame that you're keeping this? You're keeping this person's mean words secret, basically. You know who you are. Look at you. You know who you are. I love it. You know who you are, and you are putting some energy and effort into making some plans. You may be scheduling a vacation or a trip. You may even be scheduling a move, but you're definitely getting invested in this at this point. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, you are, Geminis. What else is going on at the same time? There was a long-term source of tension or debate that went on for a while, And with this source of tension or debate, I think you thought it was over. I think you thought that this was put to rest and done. I will say, sometimes a relationship is like this. If a relationship is difficult, it can show up as a long-term source of tension or debate. Whatever this is, I'm sure that you felt like you had put this to rest and it was not coming back. It is rising to the surface again, Gemini, coming back to haunt you is what I'm hearing, basically. You have an inspired idea about how to take care of this, though, and your inspired idea, Gemini, is to just put things on freeze and take some time to think this over without taking any kind of action. Just take some time to think this over and figure out what you want to do about the idea that this has come back up, that this tension or whatever has come back up. You're going to try and figure out what you need to do about that. Okay? So the next thing that we're looking at is, where are you at the end of this time frame? Where are you at the end of this month? Where is your headspace? So what we have coming up is you do have some good news coming in about money. I like that. I don't think you're feeling very emotionally satisfied at this moment. And it looks to me like you feel like you have to be on guard against somebody who is trying to take more from you than what they deserve or more from you than what they earn. And this never leads to emotional satisfaction when you feel like you have to guard from that, and especially when you feel like you have to guard from that from somebody that's supposed to be close to you, that's supposed to care about you. So I think that whenever you get this message about money, I think you're being really quiet about this. I think you're holding that close to the chest. You're not letting this other person even know that you have good news about money or about material goods coming in because yeah, you don't want them saying, oh, well, I know exactly how we're going to spend that. You want to have a little bit of say-so about your money that's coming in or your material goods that are coming in. So you're holding that close to your chest. So that's where we see you at the end of the month. I am going to go ahead and look at subconscious leanings. What were we seeing here? Yeah, some kind of thing that's just going to be a one-hit wonder that you're working around in your subconscious to see if you can make it be something that lasts longer because you would like it to, whether it's financial or whether it's in your love life. And we're going to look at that. Is this in relationship life? Is this in work life? Where does this actually fall in? And then we also want to look at, can you find a way to successfully make this into more of a long-term situation? Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up and I'll hit that and then I'll get these uploaded to YouTube and you guys can check them out soon. Thank you very much, all of you, for spending your wonderful, wonderful time with me. I do appreciate that. I hope that you find these videos helpful. Thank you for the thumbs ups, the shares, the comments, and of course thank you to those of you who are ordering private readings from me, either the 1 or 2 question readings or the live readings, and also those of you who order private Reiki sessions from me, and of course when you see me live, those of you who do super chat. Fantastic. Thank you for all of your support. It is all precious to me because each and every little bit of it is what helps me to get to do what I love to do for my living. Thank you very much. See you next time.